Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brian coming to you from the TST Industries garage. Today, as you see beside me, I have a 2016 model year Yamaha FZ-10. It's an MT-10 if you guys are overseas. And today, we're gonna be working on some signals. You can see that on the left side there, I left a Mech GTR signal. That's one of ours. If you wanna watch that installation video and see a little bit more about that signal and why we think that's the one that kind of suits the styling of this bike a little bit more, go ahead and hit that link up in the corner to watch that installation. If you guys are looking for something a little bit more affordable, just something, maybe that one doesn't suit your taste the way that it looks and you want something that looks more like the BL6, something slim and just kind of offset from the bike a little bit more, we are going to be going through that installation today. It's pretty straightforward. There's a couple of fasteners that are a little hard to see, maybe a little hard to film, but I'll do my best to describe my way through it and help you guys get the signal on. Let's jump right in. All right, guys, so to start this installation, we're gonna have to remove some panels of the bodywork here. The first one actually is going to be this little shroud in front of this little kind of pseudo air duct thing that we have going on. So you're gonna wanna use a small screwdriver, flathead I prefer. There's a push fastener right here where I'm pointing. Put my finger on it, and another one right here. I'm gonna start with this lower one. It's a little difficult to get. You have to push the center of the fastener in and then lift the rest of it out. Hear the pop, then just try to lift it out. That's one. But there's two. Okay, so with those two out, we can go ahead and take this little front shroud off. You're gonna wanna push down almost basically on the actual Yamaha emblem. And by doing that, you release a little clip that's right there on the inside that mates up to there on the rest of the shroud. So we're gonna take a 4mm now. There's two screws in the back. We're gonna wanna take those out. Keep those in a safe place. All right, so this step can be a little bit tricky. By removing that front shroud, we've released the bottom of this whole fairing portion here, but there are some clips that are along here that go into the tank shroud and then some right along here. These are gonna be the trickiest ones. So we're gonna wanna start working our way from the back. Kind of push down and pull out a little bit. And then we're gonna do something similar, except I'm gonna try to hold down on the inner portion of this fairing here and then pull up and out this way to release the clips that line right there along that fairing. Take your time, be very gentle. You don't wanna brute force this. You can break those fasteners very easily. See that? There we go. So you'll see these features are what I was talking about. Those kind of slip right down into there. There's another little locating tab right there. Kind of tricky, but if you, like I said, push that way and kind of lift from the bottom of the fairing and push down on this one, they do eventually release themselves. So we have now exposed our wiring. We can go ahead and locate the signal right here, trace that wire up. I'm just gonna go ahead and unplug this little guy. Press down on this tab and pull out. If you need to, you can use a little flathead to lift up on the lock tab, but I'm typically able to press down on them. And you actually see this little tab here that's supposed to keep my wiring loom in place actually just popped out, but you will need to probably, I'm gonna put it back in to show you, because you'll need to probably take that little flathead or possibly a needle nose plier and try to squeeze on the little tabs. I'll show you how I do it, which is pressing on one tab on one side and then lifting out like so. And then for this next part, there's one more little kind of press fastener there that keeps your wiring in place. We're just gonna take this flathead and try to pry up underneath it. You don't wanna pull on the wire too much. Just kind of work it out. One side or the other should start to wiggle and it will make its way out. There. See all those little kind of concentric locking rings that are supposed to press down in there. Okay, so it's at this time that we're gonna have to go ahead and remove the rest of this kind of signal shroud here. This side is kind of tricky because it actually does come with this radiator reservoir. So we're gonna actually go ahead and take this little reservoir tube out, making sure to shake it off. We don't wanna get coolant dripping all over the place. And then we're gonna have two fasteners here. They're gonna be M5s that we're gonna need to pull off. Definitely hold on to this, because once you release that second bolt, you will drop this little radiator reservoir. Okay, so at this point, I went ahead and grabbed my little flathead screwdriver again. We could go ahead and remove the OEM signal. So there's these little rubber tabs that you can push out of the way to release this little center locking plastic portion. Push that one up and try to kind of wedge underneath one maybe. There we go. Once you get one, the other one typically comes out pretty easily. So you could slide that back a little bit, and then really you should just be able to kind of pry out on this guy. All right, there we go. So I found that pulling kind of back in the direction, that direction kind of works out the best there. Just kind of snake the rest of that out. And then it's kind of awkward, but we're gonna have to find a place to set this guy down while we prepare our BL6 for the time being. So I'm just gonna set that. All right, guys, so we're gonna start with our BL6 signals here. These are in the smoked variant. We do have the clear on the website if you'd like that instead, but today we're working with the smoked. The only thing to really kind of watch out for here is that you're working with the correct side. We obviously want the right side, so you're gonna wanna look at the logo and make sure that the logo reads correctly when it is mounted in its proper side facing forward. So we're gonna take the nut here, just spin that off. You're gonna have to feed these little bullet connectors through one at a time, so I like to just kind of stagger them and try to get this nut to fall off. There we go. We're gonna wanna take the two washers that we have on it off as well. Set the left signal off to the side, we don't need that. It's at this time that I'm gonna grab some hardware from the Yamaha pod signal mounting kit that you would be required to have if you were mounting on this bike. You'll see here I have little plates. It's gonna come with 4 of them, but 2 of each kind. So you're gonna get 2 A's and 2 B's. It's written on the inside. You just wanna make sure you grab an A and a B. You're gonna take an A, feed that onto the signal first, and follow with a B, both facing with the convex side towards the signal. Feed that on as well, and then we're actually gonna go ahead and throw those washers back on. So you go flat washer, lock washer, stagger the bullet connectors, and then put that nut back on. So at this time, we're gonna go ahead and grab our Yamaha harness converter. So that's gonna convert from the bullets to a plug and play style so that you guys don't have to do any splicing. And we're going to connect, we just need 2 of these wires. So we're gonna connect red to black and yellow to brown. So that's gonna give us our signal. Notice there is this third position here. That is if you're going to use something like the Mech GTR, which does have a running light feature. These bikes do have running lights, so we wanted to provide you guys something that had that as well. We could go ahead and grab some tape here, and I'm just gonna wrap these individually and then wrap them together just to make sure that we don't get any sort of shorting or anything of that sort. After I wrap the 2 individually, I'm gonna grab that third plug, that third position that's unused, and just wrap them all together. All right, guys, so we are ready to throw our BL6 back into the OEM position. Okay, so we're gonna take our little signal shroud slash coolant reservoir here. We're gonna feed our plug through and start to pull all of our spare wiring on through. We're gonna wanna take just the B plate and kind of catty corner that through there. And then we're actually gonna wanna leave the A plate on the outside, and it's a little wonky, there's a lot of moving parts here, but you're gonna wanna take that nut and feed it onto the stem, hand threading it, making sure you're not spilling coolant everywhere while you're doing this. This side's a little trickier, which is why we're showing you that. This left side is actually very much a mirror without all the high stakes of having a coolant reservoir in your hands. So we're gonna wanna make sure that that plate is in the position that we like it. Gonna wanna make sure that our BL6 is also in a position that we like it. So you're gonna wanna kind of work them back and forth, making sure that you haven't tightened down too much yet. I'm gonna go ahead and do like a little dry test fit, just kind of see where my signal's sitting. You want it as horizontal as possible, and then you obviously want this plate as centered as possible on that portion of the fairing. So I like that position. I'm going to try and hold on to those as best as I can. Tighten this down as hand tight, as hard as I can go. Then I'm going to take a 14 open-ended wrench and actually just do an extra like half little turn on that. Preload that lock washer a tiny bit. Make sure that signal's not going anywhere. Okay guys, so we can actually go ahead and throw this back on the bike now. I'm gonna just kind of rudimentarily wire that up. Go ahead and actually plug it in and just do a quick test just to make sure. Fantastic, I left the signal on. So there we go, we know it's running. Now we could go ahead and reassemble everything. So I'm gonna take this portion of the fairing, grab those fasteners, try to hand thread them in. You might have to use the tool, but just make sure you're not cross-threading. If it feels weird, definitely back it out and start it again. There is a little radiator guard on this bike. That can make this a little bit tricky if you have one as well. All right, so make sure that those are both bottomed out. Give them a tiny bit of a turn after they are into the actual radiator, so definitely do not over tighten those. You don't want to strip that out. We can go ahead and take this little radiator hose and snake it back into the coolant reservoir. Make sure you get that cap on nice and tight. Make sure the little rubber grommet seats. Okay, so we can go ahead and take some zip ties now. And just being that there's a little fan right there behind the radiator, we want to make sure that you guys don't have any sort of issues there. So I'm actually going to take this zip tie and run it back into where one of those little push fasteners came out of and try to snake it through and grab it. And then I'm going to zip tie my wiring into position so that it has no chance of ever falling down into that radiator fan. It's unlikely if you route it properly, but we don't like taking chances. So with a little finesse, go ahead and grab my signal wire, snake the zip tie through. Not going to tighten it down all the way. I'm going to pull the wire tight, getting all my slack. Not super tight, but tight enough to where it's not going to have enough to slip down towards that radiator fan. So leave a little bit of slack and just tighten that guy down. Trim off our excess zip tie. Then I'm going to take the other portion of my wire, kind of do a little loop-de-loop, zip tie that together as well. Then I'm going to shove that up in this little shroud for all these wiring sections. All right, so with our excess snipped off, we can go ahead and tuck that wire up into this little shroud here and continue with our reassembly. So we're going to take this little shroud here that goes on this little pseudo vent, and kind of similarly to the way that it came off, but obviously in the reverse order, we're going to want to locate these tabs into this portion first, then go along the tank shroud and make sure that everything's seated down this way before we go ahead and throw those bolts in the back and then that little shroud on the front. So kind of line it up. You'll see there's a little slot that it wants to slip down into. Keep this fairing up above. Just kind of pops down in. You're gonna want to locate those back fasteners along the tank shroud. Just kind of make sure that everything's seated. Make sure we have no weird gaps or creases or anything like that. So we can go ahead and take our M4 and the fasteners. Go ahead and take that little front shroud fairing piece there. These little tabs are going to slip down underneath, in between this fairing. Make sure that they do locate in the right position. There's this kind of like inner fairing portion here. I'm going to make sure that these go in between this little fence capture portion and that fairing. These are the locations where those push fasteners came out. I know I can't show you them, but that is where they're going to go back in as well. Make sure that you do pinch this portion of the fairing, because this actually captures that. should just kind of pop right into place. And then reset our push fasteners. Try to do it without looking here. Press that center in once they are in position to lock them down. This one's a little bit trickier to find. All right, guys. So with those push fasteners installed, this installation is actually going to be complete. Do one last check, make sure it's still working. All right, guys, so there we have it. We have a beautiful BL6 on this 2016 model year Yamaha FZ-10. We only did the right side signal installation, just being that the left side is very, very much similar. The only thing you actually don't have to worry about is this coolant reservoir. Everything else is the same, very straightforward. If you've done the right side properly, I'm confident you can do the left side properly. If you want this signal, please visit our website at tstindustries.com. Go ahead and take a browse anyways. If you're not interested in this signal particularly, we have a lot of parts for this bike, including the Mech GTR signals, which we do think complete the look of this very, very well. But go ahead and head over to the website. Definitely hit subscribe on our YouTube channel if you like videos like this. Give it a thumbs up so you let us know that we're doing things right. I'll catch you guys next time. It's been Brian.